Okay, 617-830-4750. We have dozens of people holding. Wow, it is a big
Really?
day on the phones. Dozens of people holding. But next, someone who is no longer holding is our caller from the 513 area code. 513, tell us who you are and tell us what's on your mind today.
Hey, David. This is Elisa Medwa Okafor, and I'm calling from Cincinnati, Ohio.
All right.
As you may know, the Ohio voter purge situation went to the Supreme Court today, and Secretary of State John Husted, he's being heard by the Supreme Court about the situation. So I'm not sure if you've been following it, but basically, Ohio's been practicing the use it or lose it method for voting, where if you haven't voted in 2 years, you have to send a notification or some kind of postcard to confirm your address. And if you don't do so, the Secretary of State's office, they just pretty much kick off the people without further notice.
Yep.
And many people have said that this is a clear violation of the National Voter Registration Act. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the whole situation. And if the Supreme Court rules, that it's illegal, what do you think would happen to Secretary of State in Ohio, John Husted?
Yeah, well, nothing will happen to him. There's rarely ever real repercussions to people who engage in this type of voter suppression. Usually you just have to undo whatever regulation or provision you've put in place that a court decides is not okay. Yeah, I think it's a disaster. I think that if there is not an issue of double registration, which even in and of itself, to me, the problem is double voting, not double registration. But even that, you could sort of make the case like, well, if you can identify that it's the same person and not two people with the same name, which, by the way, Indiana, as an example, tells us you can't always do, then you could make a case for removing one of those people. But as a general principle, I am against the removal of people from the voter rolls merely because they've not voted for 2 years or 2 election cycles or whatever the case may be. And I'm against really all of the voter suppression tactics that are out there. Usually they're framed as being a response to or a protection from the in-person voter fraud that the right claims exists. Of course, it doesn't exist. There's no evidence that it exists any more than a handful of people per election cycle. And oftentimes the Republicans trying to prove the system's no good.
Even that commission that Trump started to
Yeah.
purge voter fraud, right, with Chris Kobach and Mike Pence,
Yep.
they had to disband that because they weren't getting anywhere with it.
Yeah, well, they claim it's because the states weren't cooperating, but of course there was no evidence. That was the real problem. So yeah, I mean, I'm following that. I don't know what ultimately will be the rule, but I think no matter what, if you're waiting around for John Husted to end up in prison, I mean, I just don't think anything's going to happen to him.
Yeah, he's actually running for lieutenant governor in Ohio, so he might be running away from the whole situation just because of that, but
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll watch
But
it.
thank
Thanks
you
for
for
the call. I
taking my
appreciate it.
call.
Yep, no problem at all. All right, and on that note, let's take a quick break, and we will be back with more calls next at 617-830-4750.